Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Hari Om to all of you. So now we are going through chapter 16 of the Gita, which is entitled Daivi Asura Sampada Vibhaga Yogo Nama. Vibhaga means the division. The division of what? Daivi meaning divine persons, and Asura meaning the demoniac persons. And the Lord says He will give us a very clear distinction what constitutes a divine person and what constitutes a demoniac person. So remember, here we are not talking about the Devas in heaven and the Asuras in hell. Who are we talking about? Human beings, you and me, whether we have divine tendencies or demoniac tendencies. If we have divine tendencies, where do we go? We move closer and closer to God. If we have more and more demoniac tendencies, we move away further and further from God. So Lord has given us some divine tendencies in the first 3 verses of chapter 16, 26 qualities of divine tendencies He gave us. Now He's telling us about the demoniac tendencies until the end of this chapter. Now, one thing also we want to understand, how do I cultivate divine tendencies? How do I make my mind pure? Our Gurudev has always advised us to chant chapter 12 of the Gita. He believed very strongly on chapter 12 of the Gita. So what is the daily prayers or daily sadhana that we can do? Keep time aside to chant chapter 12, chapter 15 and Hanuman Chalisa. 3 things, just 3 things. How long does it take to chant chapter 12? Hardly 3 to 4 minutes. Once you are very used to it, within 3 to 4 minutes you can chant. Chapter 15 is, because it has got some of the different type of verses we just chanted, it takes hardly 4 minutes or so. And Hanuman Chalisa takes another 4 to 5 minutes. So within 15 minutes, if you keep aside time every day and dedicatedly, sincerely chant chapter 12, chapter 15 and Hanuman Chalisa, this is very helpful for us to purify our minds. It will also develop a lot of divine qualities, a lot of divine thoughts in our mind also. And you can break it up. If you don't have 15 minutes, at least I'm sure you got 15 minutes to spare for God every day. If not, you want to break it up, you do chapter 12 in the morning, chapter 15 in the evening, and maybe Hanuman Chalisa before you sleep. So you can divide it also. Okay. So now, last week we were in the midst of verse number 12. We will have a relook at verse number 12. Now, remember, we are going through the demoniac qualities of human beings. So here Krishna is telling us about the demoniac qualities. How do they behave? What is it that motivates them? What is it that drives these people? So look at the Sanskrit text. The first word, asa. Okay, asa, A-S-A, asa, meaning cravings or hopes for what he doesn't have. That means a demoniac person is always thinking, no matter what he already has, he's still not happy. He's always thinking of what he doesn't have. Now, what is it that makes us unhappy? What we have or what we don't have? What we don't have makes us happy. It torments our mind. So, these demoniac thoughts are always on what I don't have, asa. Pasa means what I already have also, I want to hold on to it. So how do I hang on to my power? How do I hang on to my fame? How do I hang on to my position? And I don't want to lose whatever I work so hard to accumulate. So that signifies attachment. So asa is basically desire. Pasa is basically attachments to what we already have. Okay. So desire and attachment, it's okay. All of us have. We all have some desires and attachment. But what is the greatest problem of these demoniac people is that these desires and attachments, Krishna says, are asa pasa satter. Satter means they are in hundreds, uncountable, because so many desires they have, so many attachments they have. So it is not just one or two desires, we can deal with it. But when you have 100 desires tormenting your mind, and you have so many possessions that you are so attached to them, they occupy our mind, they keep us busy. So what happens when we have so much of desires and attachment? The Lord says we become baddhaha. You see the word there? Asa, pasa, satir, baddhaha. They bind us. How do they bind us in a vicious circle? Two very important qualities. When we have too many desires, when we have too many attachments, two very dangerous qualities happen. One is called kama, which he mentions here in the second line. Kama, krodha, parayanaha. So, kama is desire, krodha is anger. And always you will find in the scriptures, kama and krodha, they go hand in hand. They are related to one another. So kama is desire. When a desire is satisfied, what happens? They are still, you see, he's got 100 over desires. So one desire is satisfied, what about the 99 more desires? So continuously driven by desires. And even if you satisfy these 99 desires, 100 desires, what happens? The mind has generated another 100 desires. So, baddhaha means you are totally trapped, you are bound, you are in a bondage by these desires. And the more and more you satisfy your desires, the more and more desires arise in the mind. There is no end to desires. And just think very carefully. When you have a desire and you get what you want, okay, this is the object you desire, you get what you want, you got it now. Now what happens? Now comes attachment to that object. So desire leads to attachment. The more and more desires you satisfy, the more and more objects you acquire, the more and more attachments you have to the objects you acquire. So it's a very vicious cycle. Desire breeds more attachment. And then comes krodha. Krodha is when desire is interrupted. When there is an obstacle to desire arises anger, disappointment, frustration, etc. So that's why he says kama, krodha, parayanaha. They are dedicated their lives to only their minds are only tormented by either desire or anger, desire or disappointment. So this is their life, their lifestyle. Now, what does desire do? If we go back to chapter 3, verse 38, we'll see what is the dangers of desire. Chapter 3, verse 38. Which is on page, what page is that? Page 76. Okay. There Krishna gives 3 examples of desires. Chapter 3, verse 38, page 76. So you see, first example is as fire is covered by smoke. First example. Second example, as mirror is covered by dust. Third example, as an embryo is enveloped by the womb, so is this desire covered by that passion. So is this wisdom covered by desire. Now what does it mean here? We all have some level of intelligence, some level of thinking. We have been brought up with certain values, certain what we call good values. But what happens when desires overpower all the learning, all the good things that we've been taught? But when desire overpowers us, what happens to all these values? We know we must be honest, we know we must be kind to people, but when desire drives us, then we lose all these values. We don't live a dharmic life. We want all our desires to be satisfied when? When do you want your desires to be satisfied? Immediately, right? And when they are not satisfied, It drives you even more and more. So what the Lord is saying here, the three type of examples of desire. Fire is covered by smoke. This indicates a very mild desire, because smoke can be easily blown away. Fire represents our intelligence, our thinking capacity. Smoke represents the desire. So when mild desires cloud us, we can easily push them aside. They don't really take away our thinking capacity. So this is a very mild desire. Second type of desire, as a mirror is covered by dust. Mirror reflects our intelligence. Dust is the desire. Now, when you want to remove the dust from the mirror, you have to put in a lot of effort. You have to scrape off the dust, use soap, use water. So this indicates a more difficult desire to come out from, more deeper desires. We really have to struggle to run away or to avoid these type of desires. And then comes the third type, which is the most dangerous desires. As an embryo is enveloped by the womb. The embryo is covered by the womb, meaning these are the desires, the most, what we call the very base desires of the flesh, which are very difficult to get out of. And the embryo needs certain number of months to get out of it. So we really have to struggle to come out of these desires. So Krishna warns us that we have to be very careful. There are some desires which are mild. Now, if you have a mild desire and it is not satisfied, does it trouble you? No. But you have a very intense desire, you want that very badly, and you don't get it, somebody comes and takes it away from you. Aren't you disturbed? So those are very intense desires. So Krishna is warning us about this in this chapter 3. So coming back again to our chapter 16, that is verse number 12. So he says here, what do these people strive for? Because of all this kama, krodha, these desires which are driving them, they strive for artha samchayan. Artha means possessions. So samchayan means accumulation of more and more possessions. This is what their life is, how to accumulate more and more. And Mahatma Gandhi gave a very beautiful saying. He said, there is enough in this world for every man's need, but not for his greed. Because greed, there's no end to what your demands are. What we need is basic food, shelter, clothing. For that, there's enough in this world. And I've told you before, how do you define a rich man and a poor man? How do you define a rich man and a poor man? You remember I told you this before. What is your definition of a rich man and a poor man? Can you remember? A rich man is one whose income exceeds desires. Excuse me. And a poor man is one whose desires exceed income. So no matter how much you earn, if your desires exceed what you're earning, you will always remain a poor man. And this is the situation of these people. They are always striving for artha samchaya, okay, accumulation of more and more possessions. So, and here comes the more dangerous part. When you have so many desires, and our life, desires are unlimited, but life is limited, money is limited. So when you cannot satisfy those desires in a legitimate way, then what do? These Asuric people, Krishna says, Anya yena. Anya yena means by foul means, by cheating, by lying, by scamming, they will want to attain and satisfy all their desires. So here you find people who do things which are so unthinkable to us. There are people who sell these drugs. When I talk about drugs, I mean like medicines. But these medicines are what they call fake medicines. Right? You would have read in the press. Now, fake medicine, when somebody takes, what happens to them? they are not cured. Number one, they spend all the money, they are not cured. Number two, they can even die because there is something wrong with the medicine. But these people who make money on fake medicines, they are driven by desires. They have lost their, the humanity is gone. The conscious is gone. So they just are striving to make money. And you also would have read the case of, I think in another country where they were selling fake baby milk powder that ended up killing so many or harming so many children. But these people have no conscience, they just want to make money. So this is the type of people that Krishna is talking about, that they are just driven by their greed and their anger. Okay? And he says here, he concludes here, he says they are driven by Kama and Bhoga. Kama meaning desires, Bhoga meaning to enjoy everything, whatever they have. So that is what drives these people. Now, the next three verses, 13, 14 and 15, you see something very different about these three verses. Can you realize what is different about these three verses? 13, 14 and 15. What is that? You see inverted commas? What does this indicate? Now, in chapter 16, verse 4, you remember Krishna gave us 6 demoniac qualities, right? Anger, what we call harshness, ego, etc. So these 3 verses now is how these demoniac people who have these 6 demoniac qualities, how do they express themselves? How do they speak? How do they conduct themselves? So you see all the 3 verses are in inverted commas. How these people speak, how they express themselves. So the first verse number 13, okay, is those people who like to boast. Boast about what? So here he says, Idam adya maya labdam. Adya, they boast. Adya, today. Adya means today. Idam. Idam means all this money, land, title, honor, everything that I have. How did I gain it? He says, labdam maya, has been gained by me. Now, what type of quality is this now? What type of demoniac quality is this? When somebody says, all this which I have, you see, my land, my property, my cars, everything that I have has been gained by me. What type of demoniac quality is this? Huh? Arrogance, ego, arrogance, okay? And what else some more? One indicates arrogance. This has all been gained by me. That means nobody has helped me. It has been all my effort. So that's arrogance. What other type of quality does it indicate in a demoniac person? What other quality? Spiritual decline. Because he does not even thank God also for what he has. It's because he says, this has all been gained by me. So he doesn't even have any appreciation of the blessings that the Lord has given him. So, idam adya maya labdam, all this has been gained by me, by my effort only. No one has helped me. He doesn't even believe that the Lord has blessed him. He doesn't even acknowledge that. Now, if he says, I've gained all this, you will think that now he must be very happy, very contented. Right? You said you've gained so many things already now. But what does he say? When you ask him, are you happy? Are you content? Are you satisfied? He says no. Imam Manoratham. Imam, the other Manoratham, there are so many other desired objects. Because what did he say in verse number 12? How many desires does he have? Hundreds of desires. So he says, I still have so many things on my list which I have not got. Despite having whatever I have, I still have many things which I don't have. So, Imam Manoradham, those other desired objects, Prapshase, I will also inquire. I will also get this, I need to get that, I need to get a bigger house, more cars, more property. There is no end to the list of what he wants. And furthermore, Krishna says, according to these demoniac people, what do they say? Idam asti, this what I have, Bhavishyati, in future also I will hold on to it. So what does this indicate again? What type of quality? Attachment to all that he has. He has no happiness in what he has. He's got to find out a way how to hold on to what he has. Punar idam dhanam, that wealth will still be mine in the future. Bhavishyati means in the future. I will by hook or by crook, I will hold on to all this. So, whatever money, whatever power I have now, I will hold on to it. Now, there is one text, it's called the Sukti Sudhakar. It's a collection of proverbs. And in that one portion of it, they give a definition or a description of 4 kinds of human beings. The first kind of human being is a saintly person. They sacrifice their self-interest. They don't think about their interest. Whatever they have, they want to sacrifice it for the welfare of others. That is one type of person. They will not think of their needs, their requirements, but they will do anything they can for society. Those are the saintly persons. Second is the common people like you and me. We will engage in the welfare of others, but provided it does not harm us. So we still have to think about our benefit also. Whatever extra, maybe we will share with others. That's the second type of person. The third kind is the demoniac person who doesn't mind harming others. Okay? As long as they benefit, they don't mind harming others. And the fourth, which is the worst kind, is that they harm others for no reason at all, but they get sadistic delight from harming others. They want to see people suffer just because of their own pleasures, that's all. So, there are these 4 kinds of people which are mentioned, and this is what Krishna also is talking about here in these verses also. So now in verse number 14, we will see somehow how these demoniac people project themselves. Now, in verse 14 we see what happens. You see, now they have so many desires. They are working hard to hold on to what they have. They are working hard to acquire what they don't have. What happens if somebody comes in their way? What happens if there is obstacle in their way? This is how they behave in verse number 14. He says, Asau Satru. Satru means an enemy. Who is an enemy to these demoniac people? Anybody who is an obstacle to his desire is his enemy. So whatever I desire, somebody comes in my way, that person is my enemy. So this person says, Asau Satru, that enemy, whoever is standing in my way, I don't care who it is, Maya Hanishe, I shall kill him. Now here kill does not literally mean kill, but meaning I will destroy that person. Whoever comes in my way, I will finish him off. I will not let him stop me from getting what I desire. Okay, I shall destroy him, I will torment him, I will challenge him. So this again is another Asuric quality which indicates harshness, which was mentioned by Krishna in chapter 16 verse 4. Harshness. Okay, no sympathy, no compassion to share. Okay, and he says, what about other enemies which will come in future, apara? He says, I will also hanishe api, I will also destroy them also. So it indicates this person who cannot see other people being successful. If anybody has more than him, anybody is more successful than him, he will try to bring that person down. But if you think about it, if you think about the law of karma, the law of karma is very perfect. Supposing somebody is supposed to get something, no matter how much you try to push that person down, if by the law of karma he is supposed to get it, he will get it. So you are wasting your time trying to scheme and bring that person down, but you cannot change his karma. If he is supposed to get that, he will get that. But demonic person cannot see other people succeeding, they cannot see other people happier than them. So he says, I will destroy them. Not only in present, but in future, whoever comes in my way, I will destroy them. So these are the people who spread false news about their competitors. They find all illegal ways to bring down their enemies and their competitors. Okay. Now we'll see actually in our scriptures also, many times they give us examples of such demoniac people. One of the most famous examples is Hiranyakashipu, right? What was Hiranyakashipu? He prayed to the Lord. It's not that some of these demoniac people, they believe in God, they pray to God, but they pray for all the wrong reasons. So Hiranyakashipu was one of the demons, and he prayed to Lord for what? You all know the story of Hiranyakashipu, right? What did he pray to Lord for? I cannot be killed inside the building or outside the building. I cannot be killed during the day or during the night. I cannot be killed by a human being or an animal. So many conditions he put forward to the Lord, and Lord said, okay, everything, agree. But what happened? Lord came in the form of half man, half lion, Narashima, right? So he said, I cannot be killed by man or animal. Lord came in half man, half animal. I cannot be killed outside or inside. He dragged him to the, what we call that, entrance of the door, and killed him there, right at the entrance of the door. So demons, they try many ways to protect themselves. They feel they are invincible. Lord, and they do their prayers. They ask the Lord for these boons, and Lord gives them, but still he finds a way how to destroy them also. And what about Ravan? Ravan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Do you know that the Shiva Tandava Stotram, have you all heard that? Shiva Tandava Stotram, how many of you have heard? You go to YouTube, just key in Shiva Tandava Stotram. Was composed by Ravan. Such a beautiful melody, which is a salutation to Lord Shiva, was composed by a asura, demonic person like Ravan. So he thought also he had the protection of Lord Shiva and everything, but still the Lord came in the human form of Lord Rama, and also killed him. But what actually killed Ravan? He had strength, he had money, he was the king of Lanka, he had a big army, but what actually destroyed Ravan? Desire and what? Desire and ego. Ego and desire is what killed him. So he was the cause of his own destruction. So like that, in our scriptures, we have been given many examples of such demonic people who try many ways to protect themselves, but end up also being destroyed also. Okay. So as these demonic people become more and more powerful, they become more and more rich, they have more and more what you call contacts in high places, they start getting arrogant, and this is how again they express themselves. What do they say? Here the Lord says in verse 14, the third line, you see, Aham Ishvara. What is Ishvara? God. He says, I am God, I am the highest, I am the Lord. Aham Ishvara. Because I have destroyed everybody, I am the most superior person, no one can touch me. So they consider themselves equal to the Lord himself. Aham Ishvara. Aham Bhogi. I am the greatest, what we call, enjoyer. What a wonderful life I have. So many things I have to enjoy. I can go to the most expensive places. I can travel wherever I want. I can afford to buy anything. So this is their arrogance. Aham Ishvara. Aham Bhogi. And on top of that, they live under delusion. What do they say? Aham Siddhaha. I am a very perfect one. I am well established. I have a lot of connections. Meaning what? I can get away with anything. Aham Balavan. I am also very powerful. In fact, these are the people who are surrounded by bodyguards, because many people want to, what we call, attack them. So Aham Balavan. I am very strong, I am powerful. And he says, I am Sukhi. I am the most happiest person in the world. Why? because I've got so many what we call possessions. Okay, so although it says aham sukhi, that means I am the most happiest person in the world, yet Krishna tells us in the Gita there are three types of happiness. We always think that there's only one type of happiness, but actually there are three types of happiness. And Krishna mentions this in chapter 18, verses 37, 38 and 39. The three types of happiness. We can take a quick look at that. Verses 37, which is on page 320. 37, 38 and 39. So what are the three types of happiness? The first happiness that is spoken about is in verse 37, that is called sattvic happiness. How is sattvic happiness defined? That happiness which is like poison in the beginning. Why poison in the beginning? And like nectar in the end. So beginning it is like poison, but in the end it is nectar. So why is it like that? That is sattvic happiness. That is good happiness, pure happiness. See, when you start on the spiritual path, is it easy? Very tough, very difficult, too many obstacles. Your mind also is rebelling because your mind doesn't want to be disciplined. You try to meditate, your mind is rebelling. You want to come for class, there are many obstacles. So when we are on the right path, looking for pure happiness, in the beginning it is very tough. It is a struggle. Just like if you are overweight and you go to a doctor and he says you must exercise, and for the last 30 years you never exercise at all. The first day you get up and try to go to the park to exercise, what happens? It is like poison. It is difficult, it is tough. But if you push yourself and keep pushing yourself, in the end what happens? He says it is like nectar. That is the true happiness. So on the spiritual path, if you find obstacles, you find challenges, that is exactly what Krishna is telling. Don't give up. Because at the end of it, it is like nectar. You will get the sweet success of your challenge, of your effort. That is sattvic happiness. What is rajasic happiness? Verse 38. That joy which is derived from the contact of senses with objects. So you see something nice, you hear something nice, all your senses are being enjoying the world, and at first it's like nectar. Everything is enjoyable. In the beginning it's so enjoyable, so nice, so it pulls you. You see, that's how the advertisements attract you, right? What do they show when a man is smoking a cigarette? Very nice brand they show you. Surrounded by all beautiful women. He's got a nice car parked there. He's got a nice bungalow behind. But he keeps on smoking. 30 years later, what happens to him? He's also in the hospital surrounded by nurses and by doctors. So what he says here, first it's like nectar. It's very nice. It attracts you. But it's like poison in the end. In the end, it destroys you. So somebody told me very interesting about the word beer, B-E-E-R. B-E-E-R stands for before enjoy and regret. That is what B-E-R stands for, isn't it? You keep on drinking alcohol, it will destroy you eventually. So we have to understand this. Any desire that immediately gives us happiness, we have to be very careful of such kind of happiness that gives us instant gratification. Okay, and verse 39 is tamasic happiness. That happiness which dilutes the soul in the beginning and in the end, which is born from what? Sleeping, eating, carelessness, etc. That kind of happiness that you derive is tamasic happiness. So yes, this person can say, Aham Sukhi, I'm the happiest person. But all his enjoyments come from materialistic and sensualistic pleasures also. So now we look at the verse number 15, where Krishna will conclude how these people express themselves. Okay. Now comes their ego, what they say about themselves. They want to compare themselves with others also. So verse number 15, he says, Asmi, I am Adyo, I am wealthy. So they would give you a list of all their assets, what they own, how much they are worth and all that, my net worth. And not only do they boast that they are wealthy, he says, Aham Abhi Janavan, I am very high born. I come from a great lineage. I am well connected with a lot of what you call very influential people. Okay? And he says, he still boasts and says, Anya Asti, who else is there who is Sadrasa Maya, who is similar to me? Nobody can compare to me. Now, when a person says nobody can compare to me, who is he looking at? Those who have more than him or those who have less than him? He's always looking down on people who have less than him. He will never compare himself with people who have more than him. And no matter what you say, how much you have, there will always be somebody who is more wealthier, has more possessions than you. So this person regards himself as very rich, very powerful, very mighty also. Okay? And again we go back to examples like Hiranyakashipu. They consider themselves so mighty, so what we call superior, that he instructed all his subjects in his kingdom. So instead of saying Om Namo Narayanaha, he said everybody must say Om Hiranyakashipu Namaha. You must salute the Hiranyakashipu as the king. So he did not even want to let his subjects worship the Lord. But who, his own son, what was his name? Prahlad. Prahlad ended up being the greatest devotee of the Lord. And this is something even the Hiranyakashipu couldn't bear. So he tried to kill him. So this is the nature of what we call demoniac people. Now, unfortunately, in India, there are said to be 12 schools of darshanam or teachings. So you have Advaita Vedanta, you have what you call Vedanta, you have many schools of teachings. There are 12. One of the schools of teachings is called what we call Charvaka. I don't know whether you've heard of this, Charvaka, one of the 12 schools. Now, this advocates a life of materialism. While the 11 follow the words of the Vedas, the 12th one advocates following a life of materialism. So, what does Charvaka teaching say? Eat, drink, and be merry. And who came up with this system of what we call studies, Charvaka? It is no other than Brihaspati. You know who's Brihaspati? You know who's Brihaspati? Huh? Sorry?
He's a rishi.
Right. He is the guru of the Devas. So he is the guru of the Devas. That's why Thursday is always kept there as what we call the worship of the gurus, But he came up with this philosophy to confuse the asuras. So he wanted to destroy them. So he came up with this philosophy for them to follow, eat, drink, and be merry. So they destroyed themselves. So one of the teachings of Charvaka is this: enjoy life as long as you live. Enjoy life. Okay, go ahead and enjoy life. Then you say, but I don't have money. How am I going to enjoy life? So the Guru says, don't have money in our mind. Borrow money and enjoy life. Borrow from everybody you can and enjoy life. Then you say, how about paying back? I have to pay back, isn't it? They say, no, that is not important. That is the lender's problem. You don't worry about it. Then if you say, what about the punishment? I'm getting so much of papam. I borrow money from people. I don't pay back. I get papam. Then they say, once the body is cremated, where is their papam? Where is their what we call heaven? Where is their hell? Where is their reincarnation? So they don't believe at all in God. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe in punyam, papam. They don't believe in heaven and hell. They don't believe in reincarnation. They say, go ahead and enjoy life. Who has seen anybody came back? Do you know anybody who died and came back again? So don't believe in all this nonsense. So this is the Charvaka, what the group of Asuras believe in. But there are two types of Asuras. This is what this verse is telling us. There are two types of Asuras. One is called Nastikas. They entirely don't believe in God. They have no belief at all in scriptures, in God. They just believe in themselves. Nastika. So, there are another type of asuras who are called astika, A-S-T-I-K-A, astika. They believe in God. But what is the difference between the asuras who believe in God and the devas? The devas also believe in God. The asuras also believe in God, but what is the difference? What is the difference? So the asuras who believe in God, they pray to God, like Ravan, right? And so many other asuras, they pray to God. But what is the difference with the devas also who pray to God?
They ask for things.
They ask what type of things? Materialistic things. So asuras believe in God, but they don't ask for purity of mind. They don't pray Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. They don't care about that. They don't ask for what we call viveka. They don't ask for knowledge. They only want more and more worldly things. So there are many examples again given in the scriptures. Duryodhana, Bhashma Asura, so many. They used to what we call do rituals and prayers, and when the Lord comes, He says, what do you want? Since you have done all this ritual and prayer, ask for something. They only ask for materialistic thing. So how do these type of asuras who believe in God, how do they behave? So you look at verse number 15. Okay, they say yakshe. Yakshe means I will perform many pujas, I will do many havans, I will perform many rituals. Okay, but for what purpose? I will ask for money, I will ask for land, I will ask for power. And then he says, Dasyami, I will also donate, I will give money to charity. But I want the Lord to bless me with some punyam so I go to heaven. And we all have seen chapter 9. What does the Lord say about heaven? When you go to heaven, is it permanent? You finish your punyam, you come back to earth again. But these people say, I will do rituals, I will do prayers, I will give a lot of charity, but they always expect something back in return. And these Asuric people say, more this year, I shall rejoice. Why shall I rejoice? Because when I do all these prayers, I give charity, what do? I make sure more and more people know about these great things I've done. So when they congratulate me, when they praise me, I will feel more happy. So the purpose of doing all these prayers, rituals and what we call charity is to gain more name and fame also. But the Lord concludes this by saying what in the last line? Iti, this way of thinking, which is given in verse 13, 14 and 15, the way these Asuric people behave, the Lord says, Iti mohita, means they are living under delusion. Whatever they are thinking, their thinking is wrong. They are living under delusion. And delusion is born out of what? Where does delusion come from? Huh? Where does delusion come from? It tells us here in the fourth line of verse 15. Iti ajnana mohita. The delusion comes out of ajnana. What is ajnana? Ignorance. Because they have got the wrong knowledge, wrong thinking. That's why they are in a state of delusion. What is delusion? Delusion is seeing what is right, you see as wrong. What is wrong, you see as right. That is delusion. And all this is because of their ignorance. Because, okay, we can ask another question. Why are they ignorant? Why are these people ignorant? There are sages and saints there giving lectures. There are temples, there are scriptures. Why are they still ignorant? Why do they remain ignorant? Everything is there for them to get knowledge, but why do they remain ignorant?
Is it because they are busy with their worldly lives?
That's one also. What else? Yes, they are busy chasing after all their desires. True. What else? Because of their arrogance, because of their ego, they don't want to listen to anybody. They think they are the most superior, they know everything. So even they meet saintly people, they don't want to listen to them. They don't want to listen to spiritual lectures. They don't want to read the scriptures because they think all this is ancient knowledge. So they remain in the state of ignorance. And because of that, they have delusion, they have moha. So what happens to such people now? We want to know. And in the verse 16 there, the Lord will explain to us that these demoniac people who live in a state of ignorance and delusion, what is going on in their mind and what is their outcome, what will happen to them. Now many people believe that once you have attained the human form, you cannot go down. Is that true? No. We will see here that if you attain the human form and you don't know how to behave like a human, there is a possibility that you can go downwards again to different lower forms. That is what Krishna is going to tell us here. So, what is in the minds of these demoniacal people? He says their minds are vibranta. Vibranta means they are bewildered, they are confused by what? Aneka chitta, numerous thoughts, so many thoughts. And if these thoughts are good thoughts, it's okay. But the problem is all these are selfish desires which are going on in their mind. Their mind is tossed between all kinds of desires. So, what happens now, he says, it's a beautiful word he uses here, moha jala samavrita. Avrita means all these desires, selfish desires, keep them trapped. Jala means it's like a net. Their mind is trapped in a net of what? Moha, delusion. So they are completely entrapped by this moha, by this delusion. That means there is no clarity of life. So these people only think that life has been there for us to live, eat, drink and enjoy. So there is no clarity of life. What is the purpose? We have to ask ourselves, if we believe in reincarnation, we must have taken lower life forms before, right? Now slowly we progress to this human birth. That means there must be some goal or purpose of this human birth. Why have we got this human birth? That is something we must question. But Asuric people, they don't at all bother, they don't at all question. So, we must understand one thing. The Lord has given us what we call three Shaktis. Every human being has been equipped with these three Shaktis. I'm sure you would have heard about these three Shaktis. What are the three Shaktis that all human beings have been equipped with? So the first Shakti is called Ichha Shakti. What is Ichha Shakti? Just get my notes here. Okay, what is Ichha Shakti? Ichha Shakti is we all have the power to desire. We have the capacity and the power to desire. Whatever we want, we can desire. But even animals also can desire, isn't it? They also have the power to desire certain things. Human beings also have. But God has given us two more extra Shaktis. The second Shakti is very important. It's called Jnana Shakti. Jnana Shakti means while I have the power to desire, Ichha Shakti, I must also have Jnana Shakti, the power to discriminate what is right desire and what is wrong desire. So, Ichha Shakti must be backed by Jnana Shakti, the power to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. And once you discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, then comes in the third Shakti, which is called Kriya Shakti, the capacity to act to satisfy our desires. Okay, so these three are very important, but because these demonic people are so overpowered by their desires, by their greed, by anger, they are always in a state of confusion. They do not know what are the right desires, what are the wrong desires, and because of their arrogance, they don't want to even listen to gurus, they don't want to listen to elders, so they are constantly caught in this cycle. So, also the problem with desires is there are three defects with desires. Here I'm talking about harmful desires, selfish desires. There are three defects. What are the three defects? The first is because of these selfish desires, they contaminate us with adharma. They make us do unethical, immoral things like cheating, lying, stealing, etc. They drive us to do all these unethical things. The second thing is when we get carried away by selfish desires, we don't have time to develop our spiritual desires. So there is a big imbalance. You have a lot of time chasing after material and sensual desires, but you have no time for spiritual desires. And the third one is all selfish desires have side effects. You remember I told you about the side effects of desires? You remember the 5 side effects of desires? Do you all remember? We discussed this a few weeks ago. Desires have 5 side effects. If we know how to handle the side effects, it's okay. But this is the problem. What are the 5 side effects of desire? The first is krodha. Unsatisfied desires lead to anger, disappointment, krodha. Okay? So you must know how to handle that also. If you have desire, this can be a side effect of desire. The second is moha, which is delusion. Delusion means I think that the more and more I acquire, the more and more I have, the more happy I'll be in life. So that is the second side effect of desire. The third is mother or pride. When I fulfill so many desires, I look down upon others who have less than me. And the fourth is called lobha or greed. The more desires are satisfied, the more I want. So that's another side effect of desire. And finally, the fifth side effect of desire is called matsarya, which means envy or jealousness. Because there will always be people who have more than me, I will always be envious or jealous of them. So these are the 5 side effects of desires, and these are what traps all these demoniac people continuously in the cycle of desires also. Now, Krishna tells us what will happen to these people eventually. Where will all these selfish desires lead them to? He says, prasaktaha, when they are completely engrossed or trapped by kama bhogeshu. Kama bhogeshu means, bhogeshu means gratification of the desires. They are always looking how to satisfy these desires. So their whole lives are preoccupied with trying to satisfy these desires. And these desires are harmful, sinful, forbidden desires. So what happens to them now? Krishna tells us in verse 16, patanti, they fall. So they fall. And when you fall means, is it upwards or downwards?
Down.
You always fall down, right? That's why I cannot understand when people say we fall in love. That means what? You're falling downwards. But what should you be saying? You should fall in love or you should rise in love? We should be saying we rise in love. But everybody says we fall in love. So here Krishna says, patanti, they fall. Fall, where do they fall? Narake, into hell. So what is this hell? Krishna says this hell is asuchau. It is impure. Suchau or suchi means pure. Asuchau means impure. So why does he say that hell is impure? So there are different what we call consequences. One is when you take the next birth, then you will have all kinds of complications, right? Born into poverty or unhealthy body, you suffer a lot. So whatever papam you've committed here, when we talk about hell, means the next birth, you can take the human form, but there will be a lot of complications and problems in your life also. You'll have to burn up all this papam, number one. Number two is, you can also go lower down and take a animal birth, insect birth, etc., where there is more sufferings also. Okay. So he says they fall into a lower birth, they fall into Narake, hell, which is Asuchao, which is impure. So is there ever a chance for them to come back again? If they fall into a lower life form, can they eventually come back to a human life form? Can or cannot? How? Because as animals, they are not going to get any more punyam. As insects, they are not going to get any more punyam. So how do they come back again? Sorry?
They just settle all the
They settle all the papam,
Yeah.
but they still have some punyam left. So that little bit punyam again will bring them up again. Okay? So steadily again.
Actually, it's funny. Arjuna is
Huh.
getting one-to-one tuition from
Lord.
God himself.
Right.
And still, in the last parva of Mahabharata, they all go to this, not Yudhishthira,
No.
these four guys,
Right.
four brothers and the wife, they will end up in that Naraka and suffer
Yeah.
because they do have.
They still have some papam to cover.
They have what do we have?
Oh, sorry. With me, very interestingly, we say animals are suffering, but he told me there was this person who has a dog and he keeps them in a kennel which is air conditioned. So some dogs also have got good karma also there. They get an owner who gives them a kennel which is fully air conditioned. So different stages.
Those are the furry ones, the European ones.
Yeah, exactly. So up to here verse 16. Now we go further into verse 17. Okay. Now in verse 17, Krishna will deal with Asuric people who do practice some prayers and rituals. They are interested in God. They do practice again, but again we must understand how they perform. How they perform these rituals. In fact, in chapter 17, also Krishna will tell us that there are three ways to perform prayers and rituals. So if you look at the next chapter, let me see, where is it? Okay, chapter 17, verse number 11, 12 and 13. There's a sattvic way to do prayers, there's a rajasic way, and there's a tamasic way. So sattvic way is verse number 11, page 296. Sacrifice which is offered by men as enjoined by the scriptures. They follow the words of the scriptures. Without having desire for the fruit. You do prayers, but you don't ask the Lord for anything. You don't expect anything. You just perform your prayers as a duty to the Lord. You thank Him for whatever is given you, and you can pray for the welfare of the world. Salve bhavantu sukhina. Believe that to do so is duty. So the prayers we are doing, we are offering to the Lord is our duty. It's not to ask Him for more and more things. That Krishna says is sattvic prayer. What is Rajasic prayer? Verse number 12. That sacrifice, however, which is offered with the idea of fruit, with the idea of attaining something back, also for the sake of ostentation, to show off to public that I am such a great devotee of the Lord, I am doing such a fantastic yajna, I am offering food to so many people, ostentation. Know that to be Rajasic. And what about Tamasic? Verse 13. That sacrifice in which the word of scriptures is not observed. You take shortcuts, you try to finish up the prayers fast, don't bother whether the mantras are chanted, not chanted. No food is distributed, prasadam. No mantras are chanted without payment of sacrificial fee and offered without faith. Such prayers are called tamasic. So don't think that just because we do prayers, we are doing right. There's also sattvic, rajasic and tamasic prayers. So coming back to verse number 17 here, now the Lord is talking about the demonic people who believe in God, who do prayers, but what is their attitude? Atma Sambhavita. So Atma Sambhavita means, here the word Atma doesn't mean soul, it means they glorify themselves. Sambhavita, they do all these prayers and rituals for glorifying themselves. They are always boasting about their status, their wealth, and they do prayers to get more and more wealth and more luxuries. So then Krishna goes on to say that these asuras are also stabda. Stabda means they lack humility. They are never willing to bow down and learn from masters and elders. They think what they are doing only is right. So they are what we call Atma Sambhavita, they are stabda, and on top of that he says Dana, Mana, Mada, Anvita. So there are 4 words there. Dana, Mana, Mada, Anvita. Anvita means they are absorbed or they are carried away by 2 things, Dana and Mana. Dana means they get carried away because of their wealth, how much wealth they have. They feel very proud about it. Mana means they are also very proud about their status, about their what you call their power and their position. Now many times you hear this, when we say money has gone to his head, right? Or power has gone to his head. So what do we mean by that? We mean that has overtaken his capacity to think. So that's why he's so arrogant. He talks very big and uses a lot of bombastic words, because he gets carried away with his wealth and his what we call power and position. And then Krishna says that these people, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of power, they have a lot of ego, they are boasting about themselves, but they also perform prayers and rituals. So he uses the word there, yajante. Yajante means they perform prayers, they perform rituals, they believe in God, but what is the purpose of them performing rituals? And such a beautiful word he uses there. If you look at the Sanskrit text, verse 17 in the 3rd line, you see the word Nama Yajnes. Nama Yajnes means what? They perform the prayers, rituals for Nama, for namesake. They want everybody to know what a great devotee of Lord I am, such a great Havan I did, such a great ritual puja, I fed 500 poor people. So what they do, they call all his VIPs, they call the press, they want to do all this to impress others. So beautiful word, Nama Yajna. And yet what did Krishna say in chapter 9? What kind of prayers he wants? What does he want to be offered? You remember that beautiful verse in chapter 9? What is it? Patram pushpam balam toyam. He says, just offer me a flower, a fruit, a leaf, a little water. That's all. You don't have to do elaborate pujas. Right? But these people, Nama Yajna, they do all the prayers. Yajna is basically prayers and rituals. Nama Yajna, done for namesake. And on top of that, he uses another word, dambena, ostentatious, beautiful decorations, lot of meals, a lot of dishes served, so ostentatious, trying to show off. And worse still, he says, these people often perform prayers and rituals avidhi purvakam, without following the rules and regulations. If they are supposed to sit for 3 hours, they will pay off the people who are performing the prayers and say, cut it short to half an hour. They are not going to sit down for 2-3 hours of prayers. So wherever they can shortcut in their rituals, in their prayers, they want to do that. Because their main aim is to just to show off, that's all. So Krishna describes these demoniac people, and we'll come back next week and look at the verses where he'll conclude what happens to these demoniacal people, even though they are offering prayers and rituals, but because of their attitude, what happens to them. Okay, we end today session. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Thank you.